Hello, my name is Dobbs. I'm going to be reading Caleb and Kate. Caleb and Kate is by William Steig. Why did I pick this book? This book talks about uncomfortable concepts that can reassure children at the end of the story. And to find out how and why, let's read it. Caleb and Kate by William Steig. Caleb the carpenter and Kate the weaver loved each other, but not every single minute. Once in a while they'd differ about something and wind up in such a fierce quarrel that you'd never believe that they were husband and wife. A theme very similar to experiences that children have. One day, during one of those crazy quarrels, Caleb got so angry he slammed out of the house, hating his wife from top to bottom, and she, for her part, screamed and yelled abuse out of her mouth while he left. Caleb went crashing into the forest by their house, pondering why he had married such a cantankerous hottie-toddy. But after he had walked a while, his fury calmed, and he couldn't remember what it was they'd quarreled about. He could only remember that he loved her. He remembered her dimples and her sweet ways and her fragrant noodle pudding, because everyone loves noodle pudding. Instead of going straight back, he put his arms around her and kiss her warm neck. He decided that since he was in the forest already, he'd go and check for some trees that he could cut down the next day. And while he was out looking, he was overcome and decided he needed a nap. Everyone knows about naps, so that's very important. Before long, while he was napping, the witch, Yedida, who lived in a hidden cave in the forest, came shuffling by in her slippers, saying secret spells to herself. She stopped short where Caleb was lying, snoring away like a beehive. "How timely," she snickered. "Here's my chance to test that spell that I've been working on." Squatting down, she touched her skinny thumb to the tip of Caleb's left forefinger, and careful not to wake him, she barely wheezed these words. "Hammy whammy, ibn bammy. This is now a bow wow wow." And where, at her feet, instead of a snoring carpenter, was a snoozing dog. "What a darling spell," she crowed, and pleased to have worked her day's worth of mischief, the witch departed, swollen with pride. It was sundown when Caleb woke. First he yawned, and then he stretched, and then he reached to scratch his armpit. With his leg? Holy gazzoli! His eyes bulged and his big mouth hung open and he slavered. Where should have been his belt and his breeches were a pair of heavy brogans. He beheld his belly and the hairy legs of a dog. He was on his feet in an instant, all four of them. Terrified, he spun around to see what he could see of himself. He couldn't believe what he saw. Of course not. Such things don't happen. Men don't turn into dogs. Now what? What do I do? Well, all I can do is go back and explain what happened. He began trotting homeward, stunned by his new condition, his tail wagging. Whatever in the world of wonders was it all about? He was suddenly a dog. True, but he was also still Caleb the carpenter inside. He had Caleb's thoughts, and he was returning home to his wife Kate, wasn't he? Yes, on four legs, and sick at heart. Night fell, and there was a simple moon. Kate, at home, was stumbling from room to room, bumping into furniture, dizzy with dread. She had been at every window again and again, peering out. And how many times had she looked and not seen any sign of Caleb? Her husband had deserted her? She asked herself. No, he loved her. He had said so often. But maybe he was fed up with her. Or maybe something had happened to him. A catastrophe. Or maybe a dog-tastrophe. Caleb was outside the door, just then reluctant to come in and show himself. He was ashamed of just being a dog. But at last he worked up the courage to scratch. When Kate held the door open and he saw her pale, worried face, he scrambled over the sill and thrust his hairy paws upon her apron and strove to say, "Kate, it's me!" Only a suffering growl escaped his throat. He tried again and again. "Kate, it's me!" But he just couldn't say it out loud. "Poor lost animal," she cried. She gave him some water in a bowl on the floor and a piece of leftover ham. Caleb drank avidly, but he had no heart to eat. He was so distressed. When Kate put on a shawl to go look for him, he knew that she was going to go out and look, so he went and got her shoes. "Stand aside, silly dog. This is no time for games. I must go find my dear husband." All night they traipsed through the moon-laced forest. There was no finding Caleb because Caleb was trotting behind Kate as a dog the whole time. At home again in the cool morning, her shoes wet with dew and weary, Kate fell asleep in the chair Caleb had made for her, and the maker slept at her feet. When they woke at noon, Kate searched again in the forest with a woebegone Caleb dogging her heels. Dogging her heels. So sniffing the ground with no good reason except that he felt that he should. She went into town and made inquiries, right over here, with the ducks. I think Caleb should ask the ducks. What do you guys think? I think so. Okay, so everyone was deeply concerned and promised they would keep an eye out for him, but no one had seen him coming or going, or even standing still. When Kate went to bed that night, Caleb got into his rightful place beside her and snuggled against her body, kissed her sweet neck as he'd always done, and sighed out his sorrows. She welcomed the dog's warmth. With him there, she felt less bereft. She fell asleep. But he was awake all night wondering, how could he make himself a man again? How could he return himself to his natural state? Or maybe we could turn Kate into a dog and they could be dogs together. Kate decided to keep Caleb. She bought him a collar studded with brass. She named him Rufus. Rufus and Caleb, it's the same number of letters anyway, right? His fur was reddish like her husband's hair. She taught him tricks: to stand on two legs, to sit, to shake hands, to fetch things, to count by barking, to bow, and she could hardly believe how fast Rufus learned. Whenever their friends came calling, Kate would show off her dog. He enjoyed these gatherings and the human conversation, but he didn't like having his head petted by his old friends. So Kate grew to love her dog. Although they gave each other comfort, they were far from happy because Kate longed for Caleb and Caleb longed to be there for Kate. One afternoon in the summer, when Caleb was stretched under a tree, some other dogs turned up and enticed him to play. He had fun, but he decided that he didn't like being a dog playing with other dogs. It's kind of terrible. So in the wintertime, snow fell and Caleb curled up by the fire. And in the middle of the night, bad men came. Some thieves broke into the house. And he tried to chase him off and he barked at him. He woke up Kate. And while he was protecting his wife, one of the thieves reached out and tried to cut him and cut off a piece of his toe. And suddenly, a miracle! Caleb didn't yelp with pain when his toe got cut. He said, "Ouch!" And holding his injured paw to his mouth, he was astounded to find it was his hand. The thief had cut off the toe that had been the finger through which the witch had worked her spell, and the spell was undone. Caleb and Kate embraced each other, and they were really happy. It turns out love will hold out over the anger every time. So kids, you don't have to worry if your parents yell, because they love each other and they'll get back together. That's Kate and Caleb. Not a scary story. It's a good one.